This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. People in Winnipeg's St. James neighborhood are exhausted and frustrated cleaning up messes. It comes after heavy spring rain and a sewer blockage swamped homes. More than a dozen people on one street had sewage and water back up into their basements last week. And as the CBC's Rosanna Hempel reports, the flooding isn't over.
That's the sewer drain there, and I mean, it's still pooling, so it's not draining yet.
Ben Jones has been draining and sanitizing this basement since last Thursday's downpour.
Pretty frustrated. I'm burning up my vacation time dealing with problems that are harder than, going to work, so.
A mix of sewage and water flooded his basement, a foot high, and his insurance isn't enough to cover everything they lost.
A lot of personal stuff was down here, a box full of our kids' artwork.
Jones isn't alone. More than a dozen homes on Truro Street in St. James had their basements flood too.
You see, it's been down a little bit.
Chris Kostiuk says he's out a few $1,000s from the damage.
I've contacted 311 to ask about any sort of coverage for damages from the city, and kind of heard mixed messages.
City crews have been on site for the last few days. In an emailed statement, the city said it discovered a blockage in a nearby sewer pipe, but clearing it has been a struggle. A city spokesperson said for now, they're bypassing the blockage with a pump. Crews also found a manhole and another sewer pipe in bad shape. The city says the area is a combined sewer district, which is more prone to sewer backups in rainy weather. Councillor Brian Mays isn't shocked problems are surfacing in St. James.
We're conscious of the problem out there. We're pouring tens of millions of dollars in. I'd like to do it more quickly, and this is probably a good example of why we need to do that. So hopefully the Rutland project next year, $45 million, will help with that. But yeah, we got to speed up the pace.
Meanwhile, for Jones, the headache isn't over. Last night's rain brought even more sewage and water.
I was worried about it, but the city's been out here on the front pumping our sewers empty for a week. So I thought, with the obvious rain coming, that they were going to continue to be on top of it.
Jones says he wants to know how the city is going to help people on a street. The city spokesperson told CBC residents can file a claim against the city for the damage. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Let's get right into that forecast. Weather specialist Riley Laychuk joins me now. And Riley, it was quite the downpour we saw overnight.
Yeah, Brittany, we are looking at live radar right now. I've actually been seeing that at the bottom of your screen. And I really wanted to point this out because you can really see, especially with the color contrasting here, this very definitive defining line here between the rain and the snow. So this is Highway 34 between Gladstone and Austin here. Austin and east, including the city of Winnipeg, picking up rainfall, whereas Austin west into Brandon has been seeing some of this heavier snow as we got through the day today. So here's a look at watches and warnings, expecting up to 15 centimeters of snow in parts of Westman under a snowfall warning, up to 60 millimeters of rain in parts of southern Manitoba, Brittany. And we'll talk about temperatures, and we'll time all of this out for you when I come back in a bit.
All right, thanks so much, Brad.
You're welcome.
The controversy over a valedictorian speech at the University of Manitoba has sparked a call for more transparency around donations to the school. Video of the speech, which touched on the war in Gaza, was taken down by the university after a major donor and many others complained. As CBC's Josh Crabb reports, it's led to questions about academic freedom and free expression.
At the University of Manitoba, graduate student Jocelyn Zambrano, who's from Ecuador, is focused on completing her master's in microbiology. She sees both sides of a controversial speech made by a med school valedictorian. Zambrano understands the university's decision, but worries about the impact.
I think what happened with the video definitely makes you think twice of whatever controversial situation that you want to mention or that you want to talk about.
During the May 16th convocation, valedictorian Dr. Jem Newman urged fellow grads to call for a ceasefire in Gaza and talked about the Israel-Hamas conflict.
I'm sure that some of you here today are worried that you might face censure for speaking out
Newman's speech was denounced as hate speech by businessman and philanthropist Ernest Rady. The Rady School of Medicine was named after his father Max, a Jewish physician, after the family donated $30 million. In a letter, Ernest demanded the video be taken down. The university says he wasn't the only person who complained before they removed Newman's speech. U of M Faculty Association President Orvie Dingwall says they would have liked the video to remain available for everyone.
We very much are supportive of free expression on campus and, of course, academic freedom.
She says the situation highlights the need for the university to be more transparent about agreements the school makes with donors. Though she feels the administration takes care not to be influenced by money, still, the more scrutiny, the better.
The more people that have eyes on these kinds of things, the more they are able to point out any potential situations that might arise where there might be some undue influence.
The university says donors do not gain influence over the operations of a faculty or the university broadly, no matter how significant their gift. Another major donor, dental implant pioneer Dr. Gerald Niznik, who the U of M School of Dentistry is named after, told CBC that Newman's comments were inappropriate and unprofessional, but it won't affect his contributions. He says, "My wife and I have committed another $5 million to a new building next to the dental school, which should break ground this year." Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The university says it enters into agreements with donors and those help reinforce the institution's autonomy. The agreements aren't made public because they contain personal information. A recent assignment handed out to students in Steinbach is being criticized. In it, students were asked to name 2 good things about residential schools. It comes despite the well-documented abuses these schools inflicted upon Indigenous students. The CBC's Ian Fraze has more on the fallout.
It was in early April. Some grade 9 students at Steinbach Regional Secondary School were asked to name 2 positives and 2 negatives about residential schools. And since the assignment did not tell students anything positive, they'd have to come up with something. Bambi Bertholet, who has Cree ancestry, says a family friend brought the question to her attention.
And I was like, ooh, that's a bit cringeworthy. We should definitely pursue this and see if we can do something about it, because it's obviously a problematic question and it's come up before.
Bertholet is familiar with the blowback around similar assignments elsewhere. She's shocked it's still happening because residential schools stripped Indigenous children from their culture and language. It also led to abuse, and some students never made it home.
In general, residential schools were terrible. So why are we trying to make up stories about how they probably were positive and that there was good things? No, that should never have happened.
She immediately contacted the school division. This week, Superintendent Shelley Amos apologized, saying the assignment was sourced by the teacher from a provincial course package that is no longer in use. Both the school division and province say they've taken steps to ensure this oversight never happens again. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A 51-year-old man from the St. Anne area is dead after he was shot by a Steinbach RCMP officer on Highway 52 near Le Broquerie. Mounties were patrolling the area around midnight after receiving multiple calls about a suspicious man. RCMP say officers noticed a car stopped on the side of the highway with a man standing near the door. As police approached him, they say the man reached inside and assaulted the driver while holding an edged weapon. They say the man refused officers' orders to drop the weapon as he kept approaching them. Police shot him and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Manitoba's police watchdog is investigating the incident. Progressive Conservatives have picked a successor to former Premier Heather Stefanson as their candidate in Tuxedo. His name is Lawrence Pinsky, and he found out by FaceTime half a world away. Pinsky's family and friends broke the news to him through video call on Thursday night. He was in Israel for the death of a family friend when the by-election was called on Monday. So the PCs moved up their nomination meeting to pick their candidate. Pinsky, who's Jewish, says the rising tide of anti-Semitism drove him to run.
Should be a driver for every good, right-thinking Manitoban. It's unacceptable. People used to come to Canada and to Manitoba to escape conflict, not to bring their wars over here.
The NDP, Liberals and Greens have also lined up their candidates for the by-election. The vote is scheduled for June 18th. Border and Customs officers could go on strike as early as next month. Workers with the Canada Border Service Agency voted 96% in favor of job action. They want to address issues surrounding wages, remote work, and retirement benefits, among other things. A strike date hasn't been set, but the union anticipates being in a legal strike position in early June. 90% of border officers are considered essential and can't walk off the job. But job action could cause major disruptions to the flow of goods, services, and of course, people at ports of entry. 3 years ago, job action resulted in major delays at airports and borders nationwide. An agreement was reached after a 36-hour bargaining session. Work has already begun to transform the former Hudson's Bay building. Today, the project got a funding boost from the federal government. As CBC's Cameron McLean reports, the project, led by the Southern Chiefs organization, still has a long way to go.
Wewina Bagakanagon. The name means it is visible. Inside, construction is still in the very early stages. But when finished, the former flagship building of the Hudson's Bay Company will be transformed into a hub for Indigenous housing and services. The Southern Chiefs organization acquired the building 2 years ago. Grand Chief Jerry Daniels acknowledged the challenge of redeveloping the massive structure.
It's a tough project. This is a heavy project for an organization as young as 25 years. That's a young age for an organization.
Today, senior Manitoba MP Dan Vandel announced the federal government is giving another $31 million to the project, on top of $65 million already committed.
We are moving beyond promises to do better as governments and as a society. People who come here will be able to see reconciliation in action.
The plans call for 350 affordable housing units, as well as cultural space, a healing center, childcare and assisted living facilities, and businesses, including restaurants. It will also serve as a headquarters for the Southern Chiefs organization. The funding announced today brings the total money raised for the project to about $140 million. SCO estimates the total cost of the project is $200 million, leaving about $60 million still unfunded. Daniel says they are still figuring out where the rest of the money will come from.
SCO is going to have to borrow some of those costs and have to take that on, and so that's probably the plan going forward. Obviously, we're looking for all options.
Work has begun on removing asbestos inside the building. Daniels expects to have that work wrapped up in the next few weeks. He hopes to have a soft opening in 2026, the 100th anniversary of the opening of the Bay Building. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Winnipeg nonprofit that helps refugees and immigrants opened its new office in downtown today. The Healthy Muslim Families Office will be focused specifically on refugee claimants from the inner city. CBC's Zubina Ahmed visited the new space.
So this was a place that became available to us, and we thought we had to be here because we needed the space to not just process their refugee claims, I help them with putting in their refugee claim, but also other services that they need, like the English language classes, because a lot of them come with very low English language fluency, and they need English language to be able to find jobs.
As they set up this program to help refugee claimants learn English, then I've been helping with that class. Some of the learners are basic English, so it's more like how are you introduce your family, talk about the weather, small talk that we often have. But then there are the more advanced students, and for them it's more job skill readiness, interviews, looking through their resume and being able to explain the past experiences so that when they get their work permit, then they are ready to be hired.
There are services that they need because they are sometimes coming from very conflict zones. They have been through trauma, but they don't get the mental health support. So we started the mental health support sessions for them, which are provided by Hani Otebi.
Refugee claimants specifically, they had to leave their countries of origin to take on a very unknown journey. And that journey brings lots of stress, takes emotional toll, and require lots of support. And so I think it is very relevant for them to have a place that is culturally responsive, culturally safe, where they process all of these emotions.
After I attend that program, now I able to manage problems like depressions, like worries.
They helped me regarding financial assessment, like taxes filing, and many counseling. I get benefit from it.
In less than 90 minutes, the Winnipeg Sea Bears will be hitting the court for their home opener game at Canada Life Centre. It's the second year for the city's Canadian Elite Basketball League team, and tonight they will yet again play in front of a sold-out crowd. CBC's Gavin Axelrod is at Canada Life Centre for us tonight. And Gavin, how are people feeling?
Well, Brittany, I can tell you people are pumped for this home opener. Ever since the Sea Bears came back, people have wanted to know, is Winnipeg a basketball city? But one question that hasn't been answered yet is, are the Sea Bears a Winnipeg basketball team? Now, our colleague Chloe Friesen went to their morning shoot-around today to find out.
Yeah, the whole 5 minutes, bro. I have some Winnipeg-based opinion and trivia questions for you.
Sounds
good. Are you game?
I'm in.
Is Winnipeg a basketball city? But we kind of want to turn that question on its head and ask if the Sea Bears are a Winnipeg basketball team. In terms of what you know about Winnipeg, you're from here.
I think you just take a look around the arena. Is the Sea Bears good for Winnipeg, and is Winnipeg good for the Sea Bears? I think you take a look at the sold-out crowd 3 weeks ago already, and I think that answers its question, right?
Someone you really wanted to impress.
Yeah.
Where are you taking them in Winnipeg?
Oof, a couple places. Where would I go? Maybe Cafe Carlo or Pissarro. Those are some pretty good establishments.
Name one reason that you think Winnipeg is underrated.
Underrated. Oh, the food. There's a lot of really good food places here. I don't even know if it's underrated. I just think people don't expect to have so many great restaurants here when they do come here, and then they come here and they're like, wow, they're like pleasantly surprised. Like, this is a major mecca for food here.
Keep going. Starting the season off with a loss, obviously not what you were looking forward to.
Yeah.
Coming back home, open the season up here in a sold out crowd. What's going through your mind?
Got to get a win, man.
Yeah.
Got to get a win. Get a win for the fans, get a win for the city, get a win for the team, show them how we play.
Winnipeg, fun fact, is known as the what capital of the world? I can give you a hint.
Coffee capital.
Close. No. Close. Okay, it's based on a beverage, actually.
Ooh.
It's based on a beverage that we consume all year round.
Cream soda. Slurpee.
No. Correct.
Slurpee
it is Slurpee capital
notice
of the
Slurpees
world.
everywhere. Okay, all right. 7, 8.
What do we call the place where the Red and Assiniboine rivers meet? It's a classic tourist destination. Also sounds like a utensil. That's my hint.
It's not a spoon.
Come on,
or
don't
a
make me
knife.
look stupid on live
Not
TV.
a spoon or a knife.
Get out of here.
It's a
spork.
Yeah, well, there you have it. There's the answers to those questions. The final preparations are underway here at Canada Life Centre, and in just a little while, we are going to take you down courtside. But for now, we'll send it back to you, Brittany.
All right, we got to get those guys some Slurpees. Thanks, Gavin. Well, heavy rain that turned into even heavier snow saw the grills at Brandon's Western Canada Ribfest tour turned off today. The event kicked off in the morning despite the adverse weather, but by mid-afternoon, Mother Nature won and the event was paused until Saturday. Blazin' Barbecue co-manager Ned Simpson says the cooking crew tried to adapt to ensure ribs could stay on the grill despite the snow.
It's a little bit crazy. It's very different. We don't normally barbecue in snow, but nothing's wrong with some extreme barbecue, and it's fun. It's very fun.
The cooks are not the only ones adapting to the weather. Ribfest's entertainment stage shut down because of the snow, with musicians moving to different locations or rescheduled to later this weekend. The festival ends Sunday when the best ribs and sauces of the weekend are crowned. Well, now I'm just hungry. Riley Lachuk joins us now. Riley, that was no joke this morning. No. I got stuck in that rain this morning. The dog has to wait for a walk till later tonight, but my goodness, the snow as well.
The snow as well. We'll start with the rain here in the Red River Valley, and a few of the rainfall totals as of this morning. This doesn't include what fell after, say, 9 or 10 o'clock this morning, but this is sort of an overnight total from Thursday night into early this morning. So Winnipeg, as of this morning, getting between 10 and 20 millimeters of rain, 30 to 40 through extreme southern Manitoba, through the Morden-Winkler region, Somerset, which is near Swan Lake, Wawanesa and Brandon, getting 10 to 15 millimeters before that transitioned over to snow, which continues to fall across southern Manitoba. So here's the rain, and you can see some heavier pockets of that in the Portage-La Prairie region and heading up the western side of Lake Manitoba. And here is the snow that is encompassing most of Westman, and we've been in that snow for a good chunk of the afternoon here with that snowfall warning remaining in place. And the rain for now, at least, tapering off to some showers through Winnipeg, but you can see as we got through the afternoon hours, some heavier pockets of that moving through the city. And I wanted to show you, I showed you the live radar with that real defining line between the rain and the snow. And here's that line you can see with the temperatures. Just look at between Carmen, for example, at 6 degrees, and Cypress River, which is near Glenborough, at 0. So a 5-degree difference, not too far down the highway from each other there. Brandon's at 2 this hour. Winnipeg, we're at 8 at the moment. So yes, we're in this colder pocket of air in western Manitoba, which has been supporting the development of that snow as we got through the afternoon hours today. That will start to taper off as we get through the evening hours tonight. You can see on Futurecast that will start to move a little bit further to the north and to the east as we get through the overnight period tonight. Still a few lingering flurries and some rain showers first thing in the morning for the Westman region, particularly through sort of the Duck and the Riding Mountains in the Dauphin region. Here in Winnipeg, we're still into some showers first thing Saturday morning. The heaviest of the precipitation into northeastern Manitoba by this point, but we really don't start to see a little bit of clearing until we get to even 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. More clearing back to the west. So areas like Brandon getting a little bit of sunshine as we get to, say, the 4 or 5 o'clock hour. But here in Winnipeg, we'll be waiting till probably 7 or 8 p.m. tomorrow by the time that we start to see a little bit of clearing as we head into Sunday. Maybe a little more instability moving in on Monday. In terms of what's to come, this times this all out as if it were rainfall. 10 to 20 millimeters yet through the Interlake region, and a little bit more in the way of snow coming yet through western Manitoba. So we're looking at 5 degrees overnight with some showers continuing, another 5 to 10 millimeters in Winnipeg, tapering off into the morning hours, and 10 degrees by the time we hit the afternoon hours tomorrow. Then we're looking at temperatures heading back up toward more seasonal values toward the middle of next week.
Well, we've had barbecue, we've had bears, sea bears, and now we're going to talk about something even better on this Friday, puppies. As we first told you yesterday, the first group of dogs that were brought to the Winnipeg Humane Society from a mass seizure last week are ready to be adopted. More than a handful of the 68 seized dogs will be heading to their new homes tomorrow.
Now, since coming into care, 11 puppies have also been born. In total, if you're counting, that's 79 dogs that are in need of good homes and families. Earlier today, we sat down with the Humane Society's Manager of Adoptions, Daphne He, to get an update on how they're doing.
So Daphne, who have you brought in to be with us today?
Well, we have Cruella here, who is 2 years old, and we have Minnie over there, who's also 2 years old. 2 little girls.
So this is 2 of the now 79 that you guys have at the shelter.
Yes, that's correct. We have 11 pups born over this weekend.
So talk to us a little bit about how they've been doing since they were seized and brought to your care.
They have received the grooming. Obviously, that was the first thing we attend to right away. Both Animal Services and us at the Humane Society, we have recruited quite a lot of groomers who volunteer to groom them. We have 5 and Animal Services have 15. So we were able to get them cleaned up right away. And then the next step is physical exam, which they all have. Cruella and Minnie here, after the exam, we don't see any initial medical treatment that is required. So they were spayed and now they're up for adoption.
So you have more of them heading to forever homes now, right?
Yes, like both two here, they have someone on hold for their appointments tomorrow. So very quickly they'll go back to their forever home, actual living home.
When do you anticipate sort of the rest of them or more of them being put up for adoption and ready to take to, forever homes?
We're doing it batch by batch, so group by group, so we can, control the incoming inquiries a little bit better. But I think in the next month or two, we would slowly have them up for adoption. Obviously, the baby that were just born this past weekend, maybe 3 months until they're a little bit bigger, so that we can have them spay and neuter and go up for adoption as well.
What are some of the challenges that you guys face when you get a seizure of that size? That's a lot of animals to take care of.
Yes, that is a lot of animals. Obviously, the first thing would be housing. We were full at that time as well, so we really struggled to find housing. Animal Services was able to hold on to some of them while sending a partial of the animal in. So group by group, when we can find, our foster department immediately went to work. They called in more staff. We take in over 150 foster applicants within 3 hours.
Wow.
And then the next day, we start sending them out to foster, and then we take in the next group. So housing and human resources really the biggest challenge. At the same time, we also want to make sure, even they come from that crowded situation, doesn't mean we can put them in a crowded situation again in our shelter. So it's a lot of coordination within so many departments in our shelter and the help with volunteers and foster homes.
You mentioned the number of fosters and human resources, everyone that kind of stepped up. How did the community step up to help you guys get through this situation?
We have so many people come in. I have a lady came in with at least 3 big bags of cookies that she baked. She also gave us a bag of handmade collars, and then we have people come in with a whole bag of fluffy toys that was their childhood toys. And they decided to let's give it to these puppies. And then people also come in with dog food. That's what we ask for, puppy food, a lot of puppy pee pads, which we really need. Towels, bed sheets, newspaper. People come in and just bring a lot of resource for us to use, which is always a very, very helpful thing.
We can see that they are a little shaky. They do get a little scared, but they are looking at one another. So if people do want to adopt one of these dogs that came into the society, is there anything in particular they need to know about caring for an animal that came from this kind of situation?
Yes, a lot of these animals, when coming from a situation like that, they obviously can be very shy around people. They were not exposed to a lot of things outside of that household. My understanding is they never stepped foot outside of that house. So that means going out for a walk, meeting new people, everything needs to take it slow. I would recommend buying a harness and a collar, have 2 leash at the same time when going out for a walk, so that you can always make sure you're not going to have them get loose. You always have a safety measure, and just be very gentle with them. Minnie over there, for example, is very scared when people approach her. She would rather take her own pace to get close to you to gain the trust. So I just urge every family, just be patient with them. These are not regular dogs, they come from a very traumatic situation. So patience and understanding is very important.
Speaking of that, what do people need to know if they're interested in one of these pups?
They can give us a call right away at 204-982-2035. The adoption fee for adults is $4.99 and puppies are $6.99, which is a reduced price based on our regular practice. Just a way to thank the community for overwhelming helps that they have provided to us.
Thank you so much for bringing them in and for bringing us a little joy on this Friday. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That made for a very happy newsroom visit this afternoon. But since the seizure, phones, of course, at the Humane Society have been ringing off the hook. They had 50 inquiries about these dogs just overnight.
Wow. But they say there are a number of other dogs as well, especially bigger and older dogs that are desperately in need of being adopted as well. You can call the Humane Society. The number's on your screen there at 204-982-2021.
We need to take a very quick break. Coping with a childcare crunch. CBC News compiled data that shows the pursuit of affordable daycare is limiting options. We'll have more on the struggle to find spaces and the growing demands for Ottawa to boost funding. The full story after the break. If you have a child on one or more wait lists for daycare, you're far from alone. Data collected by CBC News indicates that demand is sky high across the country for $10 a day childcare. Providers are calling for more funding because their operating costs are rising and demand for daycare is outstripping supply. Marina von Stackelberg has the story.
Sherry Rieger's daughters are on 15 childcare waitlists. The family, like many across Canada, is struggling to find a licensed provider.
Some of them are saying that we won't have a spot for 2 or 3 years.
It's been 2 years since the federal government signed its last deal with provinces to spend tens of billions of dollars to create more childcare spots and eventually cut fees parents pay to $10 a day. Daycares have overwhelmingly taken part, and that has caused growing pains.
As childcare has become more affordable, we hear from parents that want to access it, that are having trouble finding spaces.
Providers say they are struggling to operate the spots they already have. The funding hasn't kept up with inflation and the need to pay childcare workers a livable wage.
We do need to take into consideration those costs, and those will only increase as the demand goes up.
As part of the deal, daycares also can't raise their fees, an option they had in the past to offset costs. Some private childcare centers in Ontario who can access those public dollars have threatened to pull out of the program altogether unless they get more money.
The funding will have to rise across the whole sector, but it is not coincidental that this game of chicken is not being played by anybody other than the for-profit sector.
It's hard to know exactly how many childcare spaces are needed. Each daycare has its own waitlist, and many families are on multiple. But the latest data from Statistics Canada shows half of Canadian families now report struggling to find a spot.
The funding is great. It's a great incentive to get us moms back out to work. But again, if I can't access it, what is the point?
To add to Sherry's anxiety in finding daycare, she's expecting her third child this fall. That baby doesn't have a name yet, but is already on a wait list. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
It's the home of endless shrimp, but could that soon be coming to an end? Why seafood chain Red Lobster will ask a Canadian court to enforce U.S. bankruptcy north of the border. More on that story after the break. Some bad news for seafood lovers this week. Red Lobster has filed for bankruptcy in the U.S. and is asking a Canadian court to enforce the measure here. Sophia Harris looks at what has forced the company to close dozens of restaurants south of the border.
The casual dining chain that serves up seafood to the masses is in hot water. Red Lobster has filed for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. and is in the process of doing the same in Canada, CBC News has learned. Already, the chain has shut down close to 100 U.S. locations, putting hundreds out of work.
Kind of a nightmare because it's just like being separated from something you've been a part of your life for all your 40 years.
There are 27 Red Lobsters in Canada, which employ around 2,000 workers. Their fate is not yet known as the chain grapples with hundreds of millions of dollars of debt.
They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, which effectively gives them a lot of runway to sort of figure out whether they are going to continue to operate in Canada.
Red Lobster's endless shrimp is kind of a big deal.
There's speculation Red Lobster got into deep debt by offering all-you-can-eat shrimp in the U.S. But some experts say the 56-year-old chain faltered by not changing with the times.
Red Lobster, popular with the boomers and the older demographics, but really did not do anything to attract that younger consumer through menu innovation and just upscaling overall.
Red Lobster's Canadian restaurants remain open, and loyal customers hope it stays that way.
One of my favorite spots to eat, actually.
Hopefully they can restructure everything and keep her going. We'll try and get here more now, knowing they need more customers, right?
Can the Canadian Red Lobster restaurants be saved?
I believe, with the right group coming in, that, management and leadership team, that Red Lobster in Canada could be salvaged.
On Tuesday, Ontario courts are expected to grant Red Lobster bankruptcy protection, giving it the chance to find a way to stay on the menu in Canada. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
Riley Lachuk is back. And Riley, between the endless shrimp, between Ribfest, we're making everybody hungry. So hopefully people have a plate of dinner in front of them right now and are staying in for the night.
And staying in for the night. If you're looking for some exercise outside, later tomorrow through the Winnipeg region. If you look at that live camera behind us there.
Sleep in a little bit.
It's a little bit wet. Looking at your dog walking forecast, and you're going to want to wait till later tomorrow, especially in the Winnipeg area if you're taking the dog out for a walk. Daisy and Gus did get out for a bit of a walk this morning and apparently did enjoy the snow. So there's that. Deb shot this in the Turtle Mountain area in southern Manitoba. Thank you for sending that in to me today. You can send your photos anytime to talkback@cbc.ca, and we'll be sure to get them on air. I've got a lot to get to, so keep them coming. 6 degrees to start the day tomorrow with a few showers still lingering in Winnipeg. We will start to see that tapering off as we get through the lunch hour. So by the time we get to about 4 or 5 o'clock, we should start to see the sky starting to clear a little bit across southern Manitoba. I wanted to show you some snow pics from Brandon. Chelsea Kemp shot these earlier this afternoon. Quite the contrast from the rest of southern Manitoba here. So slushy, snowy conditions. Yes, a lot of people probably not prepared footwear-wise for this, especially at the end of May. And that snow is quite heavy, very moisture-packed, and that is causing scenes like these today in Brandon as well, with trees coming down from the weight of that snow on some of those new leaves. So just a quick snapshot to the west of our province, if you will. Temperatures right now, 8 degrees at the airport and at the Forks. It's 11 in Morris, but take a look at these temperatures to the west. 2 in Brandon, 3 in Roblin right now, 6 in Barons River, and temperatures around 10 degrees. We have seen some of the warmest temperatures today, in fact, through the Thompson and Gillam region, where it's been quite a bit warmer than we saw in the south today. 12 into Dooley Lake right now. Here's a look at your forecast now for tonight. Showers continuing Portage La Prairie and east. Portage La Prairie and west still seeing some lingering snow, and temperatures in some cases even below the freezing mark in Wasagaming at -1 tonight, and temperatures with a few flurries or some rain showers potentially through Flin Flon and the Pas this evening, -3 overnight in Churchill. Here's the remnants of that system as it pushes northward. So some showers tomorrow through Grand Rapids, Norway House, and Barons River. 7 by the time we get to the afternoon in Norway House. In the south, starting with some flurries through the Riding Mountain region by the the time we get into the later afternoon, though, some sunshine in the southwest and up to 10 tomorrow in Winnipeg, Brittany.
All right, thanks, Riley.
Welcome.
Coming up, we go live to Canada Life Centre, where the Winnipeg Sea Bears are about to kick off their home opener. They tip off against the reigning CEBL champions, the Scarborough Shooting Stars, at 7:30. We'll check in after the break. The doors are open at Canada Life Centre, where fans are starting to file in. Tip-off for the Sea Bears home opener is about 45 minutes away, coming up at 7:30. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has been in among the excitement. And Gavin, you are courtside. That's amazing. How are things looking down there?
Well, Brittany, if you were here in this building a couple of weeks ago, it was all about the whiteout, but tonight the color of choice is teal. And to help us talk about more about what to expect this season, I'm joined by Sea Bears president Jason Smith. Jason, what are you looking forward to the most about this game tonight?
To be honest, just getting it underway. You know, it's a long winter for us. Our off season's a little longer than most, so we've been working hard all winter to make improvements, and we're very excited to get going today.
And it's the second season of the Sea Bears. What do you sort of have to do, I guess, from your standpoint, to maybe avoid that sophomore slump?
That's a great question. You know, we talked a lot about that over the winter, and you know, we looked at the things we thought we could do better. We're going to try to improve on those. We feel like we've made some improvements in our basketball team, so we're just going to keep on doing what we did last year, which is try to have a lot of fun here. You know, be affordable, family-friendly, all kinds of stuff like that. So.
And yeah, speaking of family, like if you look around just behind us, there's tons of kids already. What do you like about that mix of people that show up to these games?
You know what's really interesting, in my opinion, is actually it's families all the way up to folks in their 50s, 60s, 70s. We have a really broad demographic. We obviously love having kids here. We have a free family zone pregame. We have a bunch of games in our pregame parties, so we definitely like showing a good time to the kids, but I think it's a fun environment for everybody to come here. So.
And yeah, one thing I want to ask you as well is we talked a lot about the attendance. We saw Calgary break the record the other day. How likely do you think Winnipeg is going to smash that 12,000 mark?
Well, I'm hopeful we will. You know, obviously we sold out this game pretty early, and I think we're excited to work our way towards probably opening the upper deck again as we go through the season. And I'm going to say I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to do it, but we'll see. Obviously, we just want to get a few games under our belt, win some basketball games, and have some fun, and we'll go from there.
And one thing I wanted to ask you about too is jumping ahead to next year. You know, the team is going to host Championship Weekend.
Yeah.
It's pretty early in the team's history to be hosting that, but what do you like about the fact that that event is going to be here in Winnipeg?
I think it shows what the league saw last year is that our fans are amazing. They came out en masse. We have an amazing venue here. Winnipeg is a great city. We put forward a bid, you know, with the help of Tourism Winnipeg, showcasing all the things that Winnipeg has to offer beyond just a great basketball venue and a great basketball set of fans. So I think it really showcases, you know, what the league saw and what we've been saying for years, which is Winnipeg is an amazing place. And I think we're going to show the rest of Canada how amazing it is here for basketball.
And before we let you go, like you've probably been thinking about this day today for quite a while. What's it like that the Sea Bears are back here in Winnipeg?
It's fantastic. As I said, it's a bit of a long winter, and so we've been excited to get back. We went out last year a little bit unceremoniously by losing in the playoff game, so it just feels amazing to get a chance to start it all over again and do it again. So,
well, Jason, I want to thank you for joining us here tonight.
My pleasure.
There you have it. Tip-off here is at 7:30. It's coming right up, and Brittany, we're going to send it back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Gavin. She's sold millions of albums worldwide and is preparing her first new album of original material in a decade. Canadian songstress Sarah McLachlan is bringing her tour to Winnipeg. More on that next, and Riley Lachak is back with your 7-day forecast. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News.
Lost to those I thought were friends, to everyone I know. Oh, they turn their heads embarrassed, pretend that they don't see. It's one misstep, one slip before you know it. And there doesn't seem a way to be.
Well, we still have weather warnings in place for much of southern Manitoba. Rain still continuing here in the Red River Valley, starting to taper off a bit. Snow back to the west. I wanted to mention these little icons down here. These aren't things that we typically see on our maps here in Canada, but those are storm reports out of the United States indicating some heavy rain and some snow in the Bottineau region just south of the Canada-U.S. border in North Dakota. So pretty interesting there. Up to 60 millimeters of rain by tomorrow afternoon in the Red River Valley, in this area in white, up to 15 centimeters, the higher end of which likely through into the Riding Mountain region. That tapers off throughout the day on Saturday. So we're looking at 6 degrees first thing in the morning, start to clear by the time we get to the late afternoon here in the Red River Valley. Anyway, we're looking at a high of 16, mainly sunny for Sunday, maybe a few more showers as we head into the day on Monday. And then we're looking at our temperatures really rebounding a bit once again to something a little bit more seasonal and above seasonal.
I keep looking every day this week. I keep looking forward to next Wednesday.
Yes, exactly.
That 24 and 25.
So I've been showing you a lot of dog pictures. We've had a whole show of dogs here today.
It's been great.
The dog walking forecast, and it has really taken off. And I'm really grateful for everyone who sent their pictures in, of course.
Amazing photos. And so we wanted to have a little recap.
Yeah.
And that's your daily lift today.
This is a picture of Reggie. Thank you, Kevin, for sending this lovely picture. And you can thank you, Linda, for sending this wonderful picture of Bolton. Very nice. And I know that Bolt will probably really enjoy that walk tomorrow, if it's not too wet first thing in the morning. So here's a look at your dog walking forecast for Thursday morning. This is Daisy. Thank you, Kristen, for sending this one. And I know Daisy's family has been eagerly awaiting this picture. And I know Daisy is turning 7 next month, so a big birthday ahead. This is Ziggy. Thank you, Blanche, for sending this one in. So I'm putting a bit of a different spin on the dog walking forecast tonight, and you'll see why I've called it the escaping cat forecast, because I wanted to show you Jazz, because I got a good laugh out of this one. On the roof, and this is Jazz's people trying to get him down. Thanks, Paula, for sending this picture in. Talkback at cbc.ca is where you can send your pictures. I'll show them. And I would love to see him. This is Clara. Thank you, Kristen, for sending this one in. You can. All right. Let's have a look at your dog walking forecast for your Thursday. Tonight, our photo is of Ember, who looks really anxious to get out there for a walk, especially when the weather is as nice as it has been. Thank you so much, Anne, for sending this picture of Ember in. Talk back at cbc.ca.
And Paula, we need an update. Did Jazz get down okay? We need to know. Send us that email.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you back here on Monday.
Bye.